that, Myra. I trimmed your nails and you just didn't even move or nothing. Such a Tango doesn't like it. Shiloh doesn't like it. You don't give me no shit whatsoever. They were very, very long and sharp. You don't give me no shit whatsoever. Simbi normally don't give me no shit either. Cutie pie. Good boy. Oh, so, okay, so the other experience where I was up the street in that church, but in the scenario it was just like it, you know, just an empty building that they made into Illuminati building where you met once a month or whatever. Oh, I forgot to mention that like when I was 5 years old, we went to the Elks Lodge over there on Bennett Street because somebody invited us to big like barbecue, and I remember way into the night. We may have gotten there during the daytime, but we were there way into the night. There was a lot of people there, and we went swimming, had hamburgers and hot dogs and shit. As far as I remember, it was my dad worked with a friend and he, or at Kraft or something, and they invited us to this party or whatever at Elks Lodge. But when I was in that scenario, that building, that church up there, in the scenario, I kind of felt like, or either I felt like, or, well, both actually, or that it was, you know, I had these thoughts of like the Elks Lodge, you know, when I was 5 years old. And then now I realize this Elks Lodge bullshit, that's Freemason bullshit. See all those words and stuff? That's Freemason shit. Benevolent protective order. Brotherly love. Yeah, see, this is Freemason bullshit. Freemason and Illuminati stuff is different, I think, a little bit different. But yeah. So I forgot to mention that. But, okay, so yesterday, me and my brother were in New York City via OBE, and I've been there many, Joel's sent me there many times via OBE. And anyway, that scenario wasn't very long. We were just sitting there at a restaurant, and I was like, well, I want to stay here at least 7 days. And my brother was like, no, we can only stay like 4 nights and 5 days. And I remember, you know, like getting up from the restaurant and stuff, and I was sad that we couldn't stay like a whole week in New York City. And like there wasn't much to that scenario. You know, we were just in, and the whole time I was just like, wow, I can't believe I'm in New York City. I can't believe I'm in New York City. You know, I just was like shocked that I was in New York City because I knew I hadn't traveled in a long time, and it was like so cool. And then, you know, like when we went out from the restaurant, you know, it's like there's all these enclosed courtyards and stuff. When I was walking along, you know, like other restaurant, or, you know, all these enclosed courtyards, you know, in big cities, there's, it's just, I mean, there's grass and stuff, but it's just all enclosed. Cause, you know, it's all buildings. But, you know, so in the back of all these businesses, it was just a bunch of, you know, like courtyards and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, so it was just me and my brother in that scenario, and I was in New York City. It was really cool. Or, you know, it was created for me by, you know, implants and shit. That's the program I'm running with the aliens. Or they're running with me, I mean, lucid dream program. Some people are running the bipolar schizophrenic program. Yeah, thank God I'm not. They're giving me a good program. So yeah, so yesterday we were in New York City, and like I say, that scenario wasn't very long. I mean, it still lasted a long time, but there wasn't much to it. Okay, so, and, I mean, because it's kind of like, you know, even when I'm in the scenario, it's still kind of like, I still have all the you know, the memories of being in 3D as well, you know what I mean? Because in real life, I hadn't really traveled in a while, and so in the scenario, it's like, wow, I just was questioning, like, I can't believe I'm in New York City, I can't believe I'm in New York City, because I knew it would be kind of hard for me to travel, and I hadn't traveled in a long time. Okay, so anyway, so this morning I was in London, and they've taken me to London many, many times before. Joel has, or, you know, created these scenarios for me, and abruptly, it abruptly ended. Sometimes, well, most of the time they do that. It doesn't really necessarily, I don't feel such abrupt starts. Sometimes I do. I mean, when they end, it feels more abrupt to me than when they start, my scenarios. So it kind of had an abrupt ending, you know, and then I was like, I totally felt rested and everything. I slept pretty good, and I was looking at the clock. I was hoping it was going to be like 11:15, because I knew I wanted to get about 9 hours of sleep, but I ended up getting 8 hours, which that's good, because it was like 10:15, because I didn't go to bed till 2:15. So anyway, so I got 8 hours of sleep, and I totally felt rested and stuff. I kind of wanted to go back to sleep for another hour, but I just went ahead and got up, because I felt like I felt plenty rested, and I abruptly, for whatever reason, you know, Joel wanted to end it, or give it to me, you know, and end it by 10:15 a.m. But anyway, so, but it was fun, but it had, like I say, the ending was just kind of abrupt, and then it's like, I'm back in, you know, 3D, back in my room or whatever, and yeah, it's just kind of, you know, bizarre, but a lot of my scenarios happen that way, where they end it, or, you know, where the ending is, it feels kind of abrupt. But anyway, so, okay, so, yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm going to try to remember it all, but basically, so I was, it was me, my sister, mom, and dad. My brother wasn't in it, and we were walking around this theme park called, it was called, I don't know, I can't remember if this is the exact name of it, but it was called something similar to the Fun Pit, and it was either the Fun Pit, the Fun Park, something like that, and it was like, you know, 90 to 100% similar to Silver Dollar City, you know, in America, but but it was called the Fun Pit in London, and so we did that for a while, walked around and had fun and everything. I can't remember if we rode. I remember walking past some rides and stuff. I can't really remember riding any rides, but I remember walking, you know, all through the park and seeing some rides and stuff. And so then, and it was me, my dad, my mom, my sister walking around this Fun Pit, which is a theme park. And then, of course, in this scenario, I get separated from my mom, my sister, my dad. Okay, so anyway, so after that, I end up back in the motel, like a hotel by myself, and I'm like, okay, where's my mom and my sister and my dad? And for whatever reason, I started to take the cell phone out of my pocket and stuff, and my wallet out of my pocket, and set it on the bed, and then all of a sudden, I go walking around by myself out in London, the streets of London, start walking around, and I'm like, you know, for whatever reason, I knew I didn't have my cell phone on me, I didn't have my wallet on me, and I'm like, okay, how the hell, without a phone and everything, how am I supposed to find my mom and my dad and my sister, you know, and why I took my cell phone out to begin with and my wallet, I have no idea. But the aliens always do stuff like this. And so I'm walking along all lost and shit in the cities of London, trying to figure out how I'm going to find my mom and my dad and my sister. And okay, hold on. Okay, then I met up with this British woman. She looked about 40 or whatever. I met up with a British woman, and I was just kind of like talking to her, like, you know, like, how am I supposed to find my mom and shit? I mean, I'm in a foreign city. And And so I was just kind of worried and talking to her about it. And then all of a sudden it seemed like at one point I was in a vehicle, and then all of a sudden I went into a parking lot, and I guess there wasn't very many parking lots for cars. So then all of a sudden it's like I was on a moped, a motor scooter moped type of thing, and all of a sudden this parking spot manifested, and it was just kind of really small and narrow, just exactly for the size of like a moped, you know, about 5 feet long, up against like a railing, and like 3 feet wide. That was kind of bizarre because I knew I had just been in like a vehicle, because we were, you know, I was trying to find my mom and everything, and I was lost. Okay, and then all of a sudden this big old limousine right in front of, we were standing out there, me and this British woman, and this big old limousine pulled up right in front of us on the street, and the limousine was like 3 times longer than the longest ones that they make. Super long. And I noticed my sister was sitting in the back, and that was the only person that was in the limousine. And I was like, Chrissy, hey, I'm here, look, I'm right here. And then he took off, the driver took off, the chauffeur. And then so I saw my sister in the back seat, you know, driving that direction. And then I was like, okay, how are we going to hurry up and follow them? You know, we got to follow them so I could, you know, so I could grab my sister so we could find my mom and my dad and everything. And so I'm always left abandoned and shit in these scenarios. So that was kind of cool, the limousine part of it. Okay, hold on. Took my phone, left on the parking spot. Shit, women, moped, parking spot, women, streets. But it was really weird how the parking spot just manifested, you know, because we were in a vehicle at first, and then all of a sudden, this little parking spot, free. It was freed up, you know, because we were in a big city, so it's hard to find, you know, parking spots, you know. And all of a sudden, I was on a moped, and then it just manifested, and I was like, okay. And then I just, boom, scooted my little motor scooter moped right in the little spot. And it was odd, too. Like, it wasn't, the lines were imperfect. It was really weird. Like, I don't know why Joel did it like this. It wasn't like a perfect parking spot. It was, it's like it was all jacked up, the paint and stuff. The lines were kind of imperfect. But anyway, so I scooted my moped just right there, you know, this you know, long, horizontally, right in that little spot. But yeah, the lines were kind of like jacked up. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of funny. Okay, so anyway, okay, and the last part of the scenario, all of a sudden, it's like we were just kind of, that British woman and me, just kind of by ourselves, standing around, and like, it just seemed like a restaurant or something. And these women, these like gay women, were like off, you know, many yards away from us, and this one woman was being rude and saying, and I knew I looked good, I knew my hair looked good, I knew I looked good, and everything, and she was saying stupid shit to me, like you can't get anybody, you're not dating anybody. And then it was just kind of funny, because Joel does this type of thing a lot to piss me off, and it gets me mad in my scenarios. And like I say, I knew I looked good and everything, you know, had my hair all perfect and everything, and makeup on and everything, and then I just started yelling back, like, you guys are a bunch of skanks, you know, you're a bunch of skanks. And I just started saying all this stuff and mouthing off like, you bitches, bunch of skanks. And that was the word I said most often, was you're a bunch of skanks and blah 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 blah. I know I said some other things too, and, you know, saying stuff similar like what she told me. I was like, you can't get anybody and blah 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 blah. And it was just like 2-3 random girls. I don't know, they looked, you know, about my age, 40, something like that, kind of standing up against the wall, and it was like me and the British woman were just sort of hanging out in a restaurant, standing there in a restaurant. But anyway, so that was one part of the scenario. And then the ending, okay, hold on, let me make sure I'm remembering everything. In the back, hold on. But anyway, it was either called the Fun Pit or the Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm just this other part came back to me. Okay, so I went into this building and started asking this British woman and a British man. I don't know if it was another motel or what. I said, I'm lost, and I said that I'm looking for Silver Dollar City. I said I just, was hanging out at Silver Dollar City. I was looking for Silver Dollar City so I could find my mom, my dad, and my sister again. And I was like, wait a minute, or some people were like standing by me, and I was like, wait a minute, they're not going to know the terminology Silver Dollar City. That's American. They're not going to know that terminology, Silver Dollar City. And I was like, oh, I mean, the fun pit. I was just at the fun pit. So that was another part of the scenario where I accidentally said Silver Dollar City instead of the fun pit. Because the fun pit was the London version of Silver Dollar City. And then, and that was another part of the scenario. There's probably a few scenes that, I'm forgetting, some small scenes, but yeah, I'm happy with the scenario because I remembered most of it, because lately Joel's been giving me shit ones where I can't remember anything. Okay, so, and that was part of, more of the beginning part of the scenario, somewhere in the middle or the beginning. Okay, and the very last part of this scenario, and this is where it ends abruptly, after we saw the limousine and everything, me and that British woman, she had light colored hair, kind of not real short, not real long, kind of longish, maybe not quite to the shoulders, kind of lightish, brownish, blondish hair. And after me and her saw the limousine, and we were trying to chase it, and all of a sudden, so we started chasing it, and all of a sudden, there's big old crowded roads to the right, big old crowded roads to the left, but in the middle, what do you call it, the ravine, big old wide grassy ravine or whatever. And I knew I needed to hurry up and run over there in the grass so I wouldn't fall on my ass or whatever, but this is the funny part. So after the limousine scene, but yeah, anyway, that part was funny, and it really like pissed me off because I was like, you're just a bunch of skanks and blah 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 blah, and and I know I said other mean things too, but I can't remember. But the main thing, I fell asleep. I just kept calling him a bunch of skanks and shit. Okay, so anyway, okay, well, I'll try to draw it. And you know what? In this video, I think it does cut off at 20 minutes and 1 second, but there was one thing I had that I thought cut off at 27 minutes and like 1 second. I can't believe, I mean, I can't remember if it was this camcorder or that stupid iPad or what. But I think it is 20, I think it might be 21 minutes and 1 second. But anyway, so last part of the scenario, after we saw the limousine, and I saw like I say, this limousine. So think of the biggest, longest limousine that they make. In the scenario, this limousine was like, we'll just say 10 feet longer. I mean, it was like hugely long. And the only person in it was my sister, and I saw her big old long hair. She was way, way in the back. Like I say, this limousine was this long. And this was my sister way in the back and nobody else. Okay, so anyway, I gotta hurry up. Nobody else, just her in the seats back here. And here's the wheel. But anyway, so here's the ravine, the grassy area. And here's all the, huge wide roads in London. And here's a grassy ravine. Roads and the grassy ravine. And like I say, me and the woman, we started kind of chasing the limousine as they went driving this way, because I knew I was trying to holler at my sister. Okay, so anyway, all of a sudden, it looked like a freaking skating rink. It was all wet, and it looked like a skating rink. I mean, it was like that glossy and shiny and slick looking. And so that's why I was like, oh my God, I don't want, and there was a slight incline. That's why I was like, oh my God, I don't want to hurry. I mean, I don't want to run on that. We're going to slide on our butt.